I am so fired up right now. You ever see a movie and it just fires you up? You want to run around the block. You want to run through a fucking wall. Well, that's. I have the movie for you. I have the movie that's going to do just that for you, and that is 28 Years Later, directed by the legendary Danny Boyle. Alex Garland returns to write as well. That duo from 28 Days Later is back, and I have so much to say about it. I'm still buzzing, as you can see. I literally just got home from the screening, so like we need to talk about this right now. Let's do it. As I said, this is a direct sequel to 28 Days Later. 28 Weeks Later is referenced. It is considered, part of the franchise, but it is not essential to this movie. I don't know about canon or anything like that, but Danny Boyle and Alex Garland, they return to take on this new story. We are picking up 28 years after the deadly virus has erupted, and there is a mother and son who are currently living on this island in Scotland. Their life has evolved, and they uncover a terrible mystery in the forest, or at least that's what the synopsis says. This movie ends up being way more than that, and that is one of its biggest strengths, but more on that later. The movie stars Aaron Taylor Johnson, Jodie Comer, Ray Fiennes, and a newcomer, Alfie Williams, who plays the child in this movie, and he's exceptional. I cannot wait to talk more about what this cast does. Danny Boyle, you son of a bitch, you son of a gun. Wow, this movie you're getting a Danny Boyle film here, right? So right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, this movie visually is outstanding. There's such a kinetic energy, such dynamic visuals, and he's really innovative with the camera in this movie. The movie opens and he really tries to capture that grit and that feel of 28 Days Later, and then as the movie progresses, not to be cheesy, but he recaptures what you know and love from the visual language of that first film, and then he's able to modernize it and just give this new fresh flavor to it. There's a sequence in this movie where he is using iPhone cameras to capture certain moments. They happen in these action sequences, and if you didn't know that before you saw the film or you're watching this video, now you do. What an incredible addition to this movie. There's so much fast pace, fast cuts, fast edits, the uses of angles, just like a gritty camera feel, and it just makes this movie feel a certain way. There's so much atmosphere, and there's this feeling of terror and claustrophobia that he builds so well, and in terms of what he chooses to focus on and how he builds some of these scenes. And I was just blown away. For me, as someone who really loves the technical aspects of film, you can really wow me and get brownie points with me by doing crazy shit with the camera, and that's exactly what you get in this movie. So if you love the visual language of 28 Days Later, it's on freaking steroids in this movie. To go along with that, the movie has a really good sound design and a really great use of score and needle drops, music, the way it blends certain genres. You'll hear like something classical in one scene that's creepy, and then something that's kind of rock, fast-paced, alternative, and in some scenes they're kind of blending over each other and the sounds moving up, so it's kind of creating this like overwhelming, chaotic sonic experience to go along with the edits and the sound design and the more higher stakes scenes, and it just creates this sort of terrifying sensory overload that is fully immersive and just fully encapsulates you into this crazy cinematic moment that Mr. Boyle created for us. It was just, I was eating all of this up. There were several moments in this movie where I was like that photo that you see on Twitter that people say, oh, I sat the F up or I leaned forward several times during this movie, where I would sit back and then shoot right back up because he grabbed me. This movie grabs you so many times. And then something very, very fascinating happens. I'll go more into detail momentarily, but here's what I want to say. One of the most subversive movies of the year. These trailers, and thank God, these trailers didn't show you a thing. Too many movie trailers show you the whole film nowadays. They really hid everything. And what happens is there's this movie 28 years later that sort of is a tale of two halves in a way, but I think it really works. The first half is this fast-paced, adrenaline shot, the cinematic adrenaline shot of gore, terror, high stakes, intensity, really, really relentless. And then the movie moves into something that's a little bit more quiet, a little bit more intentionally paced, slower paced, and incredibly emotional. And the movie then starts moving into something thematically about this message about death and accepting death, embracing death, and this relationship between a child and one of his parents. And I thought it was beautiful. I did not expect to cry in this movie, and I did. I had tears by the end of this movie, so I knew I was going to be thrilled. I knew I was going to be awed by the visuals, but I did not did not expect to be so emotionally moved by the story, and I was. I also became very reflective about death, and I just thought that was wonderful. It is a zombie movie. At the end of the day, it's a zombie movie, right? So let's talk about that. So you heard me talk about the really innovative camera work along with all the kills. What he does in these tension scenes, these action scenes, right? The camera is moving so much. The intensity is there, zooming in, zooming out, the edits, the angled views, and like I said, there are sequences where he used an iPhone and he set it up on this rig, and it's like this line of iPhone cameras, probably like 6, 7, maybe even 10 of them. And there are several kills, if you will, scenes in this movie where the kill happens and it's like a freeze frame, and then it kind of darts across to like make this sort of like 120-degree view. I can't even, it's so fucking cool. Like, I'm recording on an iPhone right now, in an iPhone 15 Pro, and like, to think that a device like this led to some of the coolest shots I've seen in cinema this year is just amazing. And that's why this movie is getting so many points for me, because just visually it was just a feast for me, and I can't get over it. I probably should stop talking about it right now so I don't ramble about the freaking iPhone scene for the rest of the goddamn video. So I'm not going to do that. Let's move on. The brutality is there. I think there's even more, I would say, brutal kills and brutal violent action set pieces than I would say 28 days later or 28 weeks later. 28 weeks later is very violent though. And a credit to that is this film also has very, very strong world building. So what's cool is he's recapturing the feel of sort of the isolated, quarantine, sort of claustrophobic areas that 28 Days did really well. Now, this movie is bringing it 28 years later, right? So there's a modern touch on this movie that becomes very apparent as it goes on, and it's like this blend of old and new, not just like he's blending the older film and the new one, but he's blending these worlds. We actually get a sense of what parts of the other world are like in this one, and the way the characters sort of react. There's a character who's added later in the movie who gives this thing a really kind of humorous tone change, but it's really, really good as well. He's also, Danny Boyle is also, and Garland. I have to give Garland a lot of credit for the screenplay here. They have evolved the Infected here, and I won't spoil anything for you, but the way they've sort of progressed gives the movie new stakes and kind of gives a new threat level to it. And there's this incredible progression that leads to one of the most unexpectedly beautiful scenes in a movie I'll see this year. There's a scene that happens, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, where they take a bold, bold, bold swing. And I can see some people being like, that was ridiculous, that was disgusting, I hated that, I found it beautiful, and I had tears. You will know the scene, and I think it makes the ending of this movie hit very, very hard. And it gets me utterly excited for what's to come, because he's built the world, he's expanded the world. I don't know if you know this, there is another film by Nia DaCosta, 28 years later, Bone Temple, that is coming later. They're trying to make this a trilogy. So it's a very satisfying movie, start to finish, but there are many seeds planted, and the way this movie leaves off got me fired up for the next one. They got me. I would love 5 of these, 6 of these, 10 of these. Give me all of them. Let's keep this story rolling. Let's talk about the performances. Listen, you should know this. If you don't, I'm going to tell you. If Jodie Comer is in your project, you know she's going to fucking bring it. She's outstanding. Jodie Comer, my MVP of this movie, she is acting her ass off as per usual, and doing it incredibly convincingly. I don't know if that sentence made sense, but she's great. She's absolutely outstanding. She's playing a character who is losing her memory, so she has to play this like dazed and confused sort of role with these periods of ferocity, and then by the end of the movie she is the emotional core, she is the emotional heart, and her relationship with Alfie Williams, who plays her son Spike in this movie, hell of a child performance as well. I think he's 12 years old in the movie. I'm not sure how the actor is, he's probably around the same thing. He's really, really great, and he's I'm trying not to spoil, but he is his name is not main build, I think, on the posters or anything like that, but he is the star of this movie. He's the main character of this movie, and he does a damn good job bringing this thing home. Aaron Taylor Johnson's solid. He's always solid. I don't live in this world where I say Aaron Taylor Johnson's a bad actor. Or I think he brings anything down. I know some people felt that way with Nosferatu. I thought he was good in there. I think he plays the role he's given very, very well in this movie. His character also, he starts in one place and he ends up in a different place. I think his character will be challenging for the audience in some places, but I liked what he was doing. It was convincing. I bought into it. He made me feel certain things, and that's a credit to him. And Ralph Fiennes adds an incredible new energy when he is brought on the screen, and he shines more in the second half. And I think as the tone changes a little bit, Ralph Fiennes really leans into that and delivers some excellent work with his sample size. Along with that, there's some other actors in this movie. Jack O'Connell being one of them. You just saw him as the awesome vampire in Sinners, but I won't say too much about his role because I want you to see this movie and experience it without me saying a single word about it. But shout out to Jack O'Connell. I thought this movie was freaking awesome. As a zombie movie, it's freaking awesome too. I think if you go to the theater, you'll have a blast. See this in a theater, please. This type of movie, at least for the visuals, right? It may not be for everyone, right? Especially in a movie like this, Boyle style might make you nauseous at the beginning of this movie and maybe too much for you, too over the top. But as someone who just loves when the camera basically operates like a character of its own, and that's really what Danny Boyle is doing here. I thought it was great. I thought the characters were great. The story is thrilling. It's scary. It's gross. It's weird. And then it's surprisingly emotional. I felt things watching this movie I did not expect to when I sat in my seat. So this is one of my favorites of the year. This will go down as one of my favorites of the year, not only because I'm such a fan of the original, but this movie delivered. I mean, this is as worthy of a sequel, in my opinion, as you can get. So I'm firmly recommending 28 Years Later, and I hope you all go out and see it this weekend or in the weekends to come. It's tough because I really don't have any cons. I'll say when the pacing slows down, you feel it a little bit. Like I looked at my watch a couple of times being like, is this movie going to end soon? Because it's only like an hour and 55 minutes or something like that. I think some people may strongly dislike that. I could also see people disliking the halves of the movie. So like a very good friend of mine, he actually didn't like the first half, but he really liked the second half. And I could see people being really into the first half and being like, really like, what the hell are we doing in the second half? So I'll say the way the tone changes a little bit and the way the pacing slows down might be a con. But other than that, right, and there's a couple big swings with characters taken, but for me, it really all worked. And I'm saying that and I feel like that's real because in this movie I was so locked in. I was like hitting my chair by the end of the movie because I was just so fired up and so into it, and that's how I know I really like something. I don't want to be. I feel like I'm giving out a lot of like 8.5s, 9s this year, like higher scores this year. But I really like this thing. Let's go with it. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to go with a 9. I had such a good time with this movie. I absolutely loved it. And yeah, it's getting a 9 out of 10 for me. I think it's an incredibly worthy sequel to 28 Days Later, which I didn't say this at the beginning is my favorite zombie movie ever. So the fact that this lived up to my expectations and subverted my expectations gets a lot of points from me. So I hope you see 28 Days Later this weekend. 28 weeks later, sorry. But rewatch 28 Days Later as well. And I can't wait to hang out with you all again very, very soon.